Uncovering the Mindset Journey. I'm Rye. That's Ray. That's Ray. I'm Rye. Either way, you slice the pie. So get the Ginsu knives out, y'all, because it's time to cut it up. It's time to cut it up and break it down. Thank you for joining us on this live episode podcast number 22. You can't lose with 22s. Shout out to Luda. But we just want to thank y'all for jumping in with us today. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you know every time we are going live or every time a new episode's drop. Again, we're documenting our 52-week journey in the UOU Mastermind under the leadership of Dr. Eric Thomas, aka ET, the hip hop preacher. Again, we call this volume 1. It's gonna be the longest volume, y'all. 52 weeks. We are already halfway there, and it is exciting to be here with all of you. Again, we are just pouring into you as we're being poured into, like pouring in. Now we're pouring out to all of you, giving little nuggets of just our experience in real time, because we know many times there are many programs out there, many mentors, many people always wanting to sell something. And let's be honest, a lot of the times people, for different reasons, doesn't always work out, doesn't always fall through. So our tribute, our testimony to ET is like, yo, we are documenting this weekly, sharing the wins, the lessons, where the ups, the downs, and all arounds for each and every one of you. So we thank y'all. We thank y'all. Ray, what's up, baby? You got something going on over there? My guy.
Oh, hey, this is how little kiddos do, man. The moment you start doing something, she come in here and she's like,
I
she wants a
get
snack.
it. I
She
get it.
wants
I
a
get it.
snack. She wants a snack, man. But nah, bro, this is her. We started school last week. I think we talked about it on the last podcast. The teacher was poopy. It just kind of pushed me in the right direction. So we did meet the teacher last night at her at the Christian Academy. So she starts tomorrow. So today's the last day where she just gets to chill. But as kids would do, they always come at the most appropriate time and ask for a snack. But hey, I just want to say, hey, welcome everybody that's here. Appreciate y'all who actually dropped the questions. We got them. We will answer them as we roll through this. Yo, Kamish, brother, welcome to the fam, man. I didn't know you was here, bro. Appreciate you. Dari, Janine, always there. My sister Melissa, a soon to be the COO, CEO, whatever. Let's go. Right, hey,
Boss
that was just
lady,
dope
boss, the
yesterday,
boss,
man.
the book boss, hey, the
The
book
boss of
boss
the
lady,
boss.
the book boss lady. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm Melissa Thomas, aka the book boss lady. But yes, it is great to see everyone on here. And again, for all of you who are new, please, if you'd like us to share your amazing profile picture and your identity on the screen here, Facebook users, what I'm getting, because I'm using Ecamm. Ray probably sees someone different, so he'll make sure to shout you out. But yeah, bro, no, it's been a blessing, and it was crazy just to say that. Like, we are almost halfway through this program. We are almost halfway through this program, and it is really really has been eye opening. It's been a stretch in our prayer before we get on. We always got to give thanks to the man up top, and just for the words and the strength. But I remember in your prayer today, it was like, yo, we're being stretched like Jesus was stretched, and you stretching us in ways to grow, to just continue to do his work, to be his light. So if you are in the UOU Mastermind, you part of the pack. We know whether you're cohort 1, cohort 2, the stretching is part of the process. All right, you got to stretch to be part of the process. I love what ET said when he talked about just doing sports. Like at our age, I'm gonna say R because I'm in his category. I'm about 10 years behind, but if we don't stretch and we get out on the court, or we try to do something physical without stretching, this is not going. It's not going to end up well. It's not going to end up well.
No,
So
hey, that's how I tore my Achilles.
exactly.
it said nope. We not running today. We not running
Mm-mm,
today.
mm-mm. And just
Uh,
and in what's it called, bro? Before we even get started, like, shout out to all of the Extreme Execution family out there, newly certified, more just certified prior. Like, I had to like rock, I had to like figure out a fit, what I'm saying, to match the hat that made sense. And we all, since we just came out of the EE weekend, and everything we do is extreme. Everything we has to do, everything we should do, I should say, should be on an extreme level, extreme accountability, extreme execution. Last night's session, extreme relationships, extreme
Mm.
measures. I'm gonna just let that. I'm gonna let that sink in for those of y'all who are on the call. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think we can even just kind of under tie that underneath all of what we shared today, Ray. So yeah.
Oh
Before we
yeah.
jump into these questions, anything you want to share, Ray? Before we kind of just dive into some of these questions here from our fam.
I don't know if there's anything specific, man. I mean, I'm just excited to be back on here. These questions, well, they'll end up rolling in the topic, but yeah, these relationships, the relationship call yesterday, and like our first question was from our good brother Marcus Leslie, on how we met. Again, relationships, not just any relationships, ones that are going to be mutual, so mutually beneficial. Not looking at it from a selfish standpoint, but just I see value in him, that dude right there, that dude, bro, Rye. I see value in that guy. So let's stay connected. I don't know what it is specifically, but the only way you can do that, bro, extreme execution. Understand who you are and what value you bring, and what areas you need some value added to you. Exactly, commission, Mr. Cheesecake himself. Mr. Cheesecake himself. Got to see him. Hey man, we'll say that refers. This is. I had some feelings about it. Me and Marcus were trying to connect while I was there. Um, talk some real estate stuff, and just schedule. Just everything that was going on. Meeting up with Carl. Meeting up with um, the mastermind fam. Going to the events. So he was able to swing by. Finally, was like, "Yo, can you?" He was like, "He's going to show up on that last Monday that we were there." And man, we were supposed to be the whole weekend, man, like trying to connect, missed each other. He even came to service on Saturday, but it went a little bit longer. He's like, "Hey man, I gotta go," so we didn't get to talk then. How about Mr. Cheesecake himself showed up with what he does, cheesecakes. But because I was engaging in relationships, I missed out on them cheesecakes.
Oh,
Bro, that hurt my heart, man. I saw him and I was talking to him, and I started to notice, like, once he left, I saw people like walking around with, someone had like the coffee cheesecake that he had. Someone had like the regular one. Someone had like the strawberry. And I was like, I saw Francisco over there killing a cookies and cream one. And bro, I was
hey, that's
like,
Danielle's favorite. That's actually Danielle's
bruh.
favorite. But look for the record though, when we came out for UOU, we had our own personal. Let's be honest. We was
Yeah, but that
blessing
was,
the people at the
we're not talking about that.
hotel.
That's May.
I know.
That was May. Bro, I'm talking about I'm talking about August
He's talking about
2023.
right now. No, I
I'm
feel
talking
it.
about right now. Like he
Hey,
showed
that
up,
was
man. I didn't even know he brought anything.
bro. That
And then
was
I
that
see all
was
the
me.
people.
That was me and Danielle last year at 120 in Chicago. He brought
Okay.
cheesecakes to 120. And when he saw me, he was like, "Ride, pull up. Get Danielle, your daughter. Y'all are here." Bro, by the time we got to him, he had that look on his face. He was like, "Bruh, my bad." You know that look where you just kind of like,
Yeah.
"Fam, my bad. I just gave the last one." And I was like, we missed out. That was like, that's on our bad. But again,
Yeah. But,
why do
but
we
I'm just saying. Before we get serious, I was like, yo, we've been trying to connect all weekend. And you finally show up. And I'm not saying he didn't want to see anybody else. But the whole reason he was there was to chop it up with Ray. I'm not being selfish. But at the same time, yes, I am.
yep,
How did
yep,
I
no
not get a
worries.
piece? I did not get a cheesecake. I love
Oh
cheesecake, y'all.
man.
So anyways, but yeah, we'll move past that. We'll move
Yeah,
past
that's
that.
yeah. So shout out to again to the community and the way the community shows up, right? Like y'all who are with us during the live recordings, thank y'all for showing up. The way y'all engage with us, thank y'all for showing up. So just to go back to just to kind of wrap up a question from Mr. Leslie, Mr. Leslie himself, Mr. Cheesecakes himself. Yeah, Ray and I met at Phenomenal Life 2022. Did not know each other prior. We actually met on the bus on the way to an excursion. He was with our boy Rob. What's up? Shout out to Rob. Say his last name for me because I don't want to mess it up.
Last name Hokag. Hokag.
Yeah, so
I,
shout
I
out to
call him. I
Rob.
call him. I call him Boothang.
Boothang, all right, Ray's Boothang. And so we saw each other there, and I was like, all right, so what's up to the homies? And then, but what really had me drawn to Ray, I'm gonna say this, what really had me drawn to Ray, which is what led to where we are today, was the fact that I think a lot of us was hanging out in the pool, and then him and my wife Danielle were chopping it up. Makes sense, right? Pilot to pilot. And they were like in the pool for like 2 hours chopping it up. Like in combo. My wife is a pilot and high air traffic control. Y'all know the combination. She's either fooling with you or she's not. So the fact that y'all were, having a good time, and I was like, so, how was it, or how is he? I was like, 'cause, we didn't really talk much. He was, oh, he's a good dude. He's really smart. He knows what he's doing. It's like, do you vibe with him? She's like, yeah, I vibe with him. So you got the cosign. Once he got the cosign, then that was it. I was like, let's continue the relationship. So every time we saw each other, 120 Chicago, we kept in contact. We got each other's information, numbers, and then just continued to grow. But we literally have only connected through ETA events as of yet. We're gonna break that cycle soon and start doing some Ray and Rye, Ramirez Jones adventures, in the near future. But nonetheless, it all rooted and it sprouted with strong foundation through ETA.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why, hey, you want to change your experiences, you got to change your environment. That
Yeah,
environment includes the people that you're hanging around, man. If they're not mutual, those relationships. If you have some parasites in your relationships, yeah, yeah, you gotta go. It's gotta go.
that's it.
It's gotta go.
That's it. So,
It's gotta
which
go.
kind of actually
Hey,
goes into the
so
next question. Shout out to Joshua Brown, right? Joshua Brown says, R2R, here's a question. Sometimes I struggle with having the motivation to get up and get after it. I understand the importance of diligence and drive, but sometimes my emotions don't align with my grind. Most of the time, it happens at 4:45 a.m. in the morning or at 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon. So when I'm not feeling it, quote unquote, what do I do? What do I do? So I'll just base off the last question or what you just shared. Environment, number one, right? We know that motivation is key, but I always would say motivation with and support go hand in hand, because you can have all the motivation in the world, but if you have zero support, it's not going to go far. Or vice versa. You can have all the support in the world, but with no motivation, the needle still isn't moving. So, in terms of finding the environment, even if you just had one accountability partner, you said 4:45 a.m. and 2:45 p.m. So if you know those are your times where you lack, then who can you reach out to? Who can you call? Like literally, you are aware of your gaps. So let's see who you can contact and who can keep you accountable when you're having that feeling, or who can you think of at that time. Put a reminder on your phone, whoever's important to you, whoever you're doing this for, like have that picture pop up. But I will say this, like for me, the other piece I'm going to bring into it, which is a whole different piece, is there something physically that's happening at those times of the day? Right. And I say this because sometimes that 2:45 piece reminds me of like after lunch, like FMH, we used to call, right, the fat man's high, food coma. Like, is there a lack of motivation because we just had a big lunch? It's after lunch and I'm losing all the oxygen from my brain, and now I'm shutting down. Or am I do I take a lot of caffeine and stuff during the day and now I'm starting to dip? Right. So there's two pieces there that I would actually look into. One is during those times of the day where you know you really struggle with motivation, then this is where we got to get support. Fill it with support. Fill it with support. Fill it with support. Find support. And number two is are looking at your again eating and what you're taking in, your nutrition, if you're taking coffee or not, all those different things I also play a factor in energy. So that's just my 2 cents on your question there. What say you, Ray?
what say me? I keywords I'm gonna key in on. I skim through it as we do as pilots. Emotions. Emotions don't align with my grind because your emotions have no place in it.
Hold on, say that one more time for the
Your
people.
emotions don't align with your grind because your emotions have no place in it.
Mic
Understand the
drop.
statement of what grind means. Like let's think of like a mortar and pestle. If you don't know what that is, that's that little concrete bowl. You got a little crushed thing, like crushed pressure, consistent movement, friction, all those things. Like your emotions have no place in it. And then the other part that we always go to, Mr. Rory Vaden himself, enjoying it isn't a requirement for getting it done. So when you put your emotions into something that you know you need to get done, joy is not a part of it. When you understand that and you know why you're getting up, I know why he's getting up. Josh is he's my student pastor over at my church, man, and I know what he's doing. I know he's got a lot of stuff, but enjoying isn't a requirement for getting it done, and that's one thing that I know that we all struggle with. I have to remind myself. I mean, that's the same thing. We kind of jumped into Christina's question there, but like the real estate piece, like that's not something I ever really enjoyed. But now I'm starting to do these webinars because that's what actually moves the needle with what I'm actually trying to get done. I don't enjoy it, but it moves the needle in the direction. So when we look at those two things, okay, whether it's 4:45 in the morning, yeah, okay, take an actual physical catalog. What is happening during those moments? 4:45, pretty sure you're just getting up. I think he's got he just turned 1. He's got a 1-year-old that's teething pretty good. So obviously you're gonna have there's some sleep that's not happening as fluidly as you would like to happen. Okay, there's that. And then at 2:45, I love man. That fat man's high. I'm never gonna. Hey, I always tell people, hey, you don't have to go to these conferences or listen to these podcasts and take everything away. That's probably the one thing I'm gonna take away from this podcast. Is fat man's high. I typically FMH, man. I typically don't remember what we talk about until you drop it again 4 weeks later. I'll remember that one. I'm gonna be looking forward like this. Just
hey, that was real though, because he said that time. I was like, oh, that's the time I usually, back in the days when I was 350, when I was pushing 350, like, bro, I was
say that again.
I was big homie. I'm gonna throw some pictures. I'm gonna see if I can throw them. I was big homie, 350, just enjoying life, making a lot of money, eating a lot, bro. And I just remember at that time, it was like con creme meme time, bro. We call that meme time because it was like you eat good, it's time to go to bed. If it ain't real, it ain't right, man. Yeah. Shout out Mac Dre. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Right? Like there it doesn't, non-negotiables what came up when you said that. Because feelings don't care, right? Like your feelings don't matter in a lot of situations. They matter, but they don't matter. Yeah. And knowing to distinguish when they matter and when they don't. And like I'm a believer, I'm the feelings guy at school. I talk about feelings all day. That's my job. But my message is, don't let them take you over. Number one, like take control of them. And at the end of the day, let your feelings drive you, but don't let them take you over.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that lastly, before we move on from that, like this the last piece too, is like, I mean, sometimes, hey, I mean, I've taken it, let's be real, like I've taken a decent hiatus from our accountability calls. It just wasn't serving me through the day-to-day, through the long, like I wasn't seeing like, so I'm probably going to jump on it because yesterday was probably my last time being live on on those conversations. But as far as the Monday night calls, but these accountability calls, if they're not serving, I'm just up and now I'm just tired by like noon, 1 o'clock. Does it really make sense to continue doing it if I'm not specifically looking for something out of those calls? Because I know what I'm going to be doing to push, and I know like Melissa said, like having an accountability partner is key. So we check in with each other. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Jazz hit me up earlier. Hey, with everything you got going on, like, what's up? Anything you can help with? Like when you have people and they know, like we tell people what we're doing. That's part of the accountability. When you tell people what you're doing, what you plan on doing, tell people that you know are going to hold you accountable. So when they ask you, don't be like, it's none of your business. But take catalog of things sometimes when, hey, if I'm just tired and I'm doing things because I said I was going to do things, but it's just making me tired. Like that's what we were talking about, the what is it? The negative return thing. Sister Melissa, help us out here. Help us out. When I'm continuing to do things over and over and over again, and at this point it's just providing negative returns.
Oh, not law of diminishing returns, is it?
That's the one. Yeah. Law of diminishing returns. At some point, if you're continuing to do things that initially were helpful for you, but now it's no longer serving you, take out, like, hey, understand, hey, I've got a 1-year-old that's teething. He's a worship leader at church, so they're doing rehearsals super early. He's also a student pastor, so they're doing like stuff like we're going back to school, so like he's got like student one night. Still got family time. Still trying to get that fitness life in. All these things are going on. So at some point it's like, okay, maybe I don't need to be getting up at 4:45 every single day of the week. Maybe I need to give myself a little bit of grace but when we combine those two things, emotions and the grind, nope. But yeah. So
no, I'm with that. I'm with you on that. And as a high flight attendant, I am the first to admit that my feelings were my preference, and they still are my preference. However, because my awareness is getting, again, it's all about developing that self-awareness to get to self-mastery. I'm learning where my feelings have gotten in the way. So, speaking to Janine's question, like, how do you get out of your own way? Well, know your preference and know what's killing your growth. No, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And so I started realizing my feelings is what got in the way. Here's a perfect example. So I do contracts because I don't have a huge team. I got a couple of them, building the team as I go. So I will be in the room setting up, with a principal or a decision maker, and that's my jam. Like, get me to the table. We're gonna seal the deal. Like, because I'm gonna hear what you need, and I'm gonna share with you how I can deliver that. And then we start getting into, some of the details, and we get into price. So my feelings are like, well, I'm nice. I'm like, I would do it for free if I could. Danielle knows that, which is why we want to outsource this to someone else. Because even when I was sharing some of my rates with someone who's coming on, they're like, why is that so low? And in my mind, in my feelings, is like, well, because I feel like that's fair. And she's like, well, have you done your research on what people are charging for the kind of work you're doing? Right. But my feelings for the people, and here's kind of where I started getting out of these films, were like, well, I got to stop thinking that I'm actually asking the principal or whoever is hiring me that it's their money out of their pocket. See, my feelings thinks I'm taking it from somebody's personal account, or like, oh, maybe this table. Yeah, I want to do something nice, right? I want to, like, people would consider me like the Walmart, the Walmart of facilitators and speakers, which, again, now that I'm, again, this was years ago. Now it's like, okay, here's what we're putting up. So sometimes you may get turned down. That's okay, but they know your value. Yeah. Right. And so I think that's something where I've learned over the years to say, I know what my time is worth, to leave my home, to get on a plane, to put my life at risk, to be away, to share my gift. I know what that's worth to me. But my feelings used to go, well, God gave you this gift and you don't want to disrespect it. And I realized I actually disrespect it more by not actually getting what it's fully worth. I actually disrespect the gift more by not getting what it's fully worth, because then people aren't getting fed, because more opportunities, because the resources aren't there for me to be able to do the other things that God has planned, because we need money for the mission. And I just want to share this one thing. I caught what you said earlier about support. Catch this, y'all. What Ray said was important. We're talking about extreme relationships, right? Extreme relationships, extreme everything. It's one thing to know who you go to for support, but is good, and it's an extremely valuable relationship when the support is coming to you. When the support is coming to you. Ray said that, hey, I got a lot going on. People are reaching out. His support is reaching out to him. So yes, we have to recognize who can we reach out to, who's our support, but you on another level when the support is actually coming to you first. Yeah. That's when you're in a good situation. So yeah, man, just caught that. I was like, man, with all the people hitting you up and me up, I mean, we hit each other up, but it's not because we feel bad, right? It's not because it's because we genuinely care, because we know the responsibilities and assignment that God put on your plate.
Yeah, no, and I just want to add that too, as far as like getting out of your own way. If you don't know how to get out of your way, have somebody else move you out of your way. That's where Melissa right there. Having an accountability partner is key. Sometimes we need the whip cracked on us from time to time. When someone else is telling you, stop, do this, don't get in your feelings. This is right. We go back to, Moose, and then we're talking about the person or the principle. If you find that you're always getting in your own way, whether it's feelings or you're just not doing the right actions or doing the things you need to be doing, have someone that literally that's their role as your accountability partner or coach, whatever it is, to move you out of your own way and do it. Just understand that's why they're here. Because if I can't do it, someone else needs to do it for me. And if I need to move you, grab you, and over here. Yeah. That's what it is. Have someone make the adjustment for you. And just trust, hey, if you get your feelings hurt for a little bit, acknowledge it, accept it, but like, no, this is what I need, and then move on. And then eventually you'll figure out how to do that yourself. Until then, if you can't and you consistently stay in your own way, let somebody else know. Hey, some people just like to do that for people. Some people just like to tell other people what to do, especially if it's about them.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And so,
uh,
and, and I think so. The thing though, that here, I think what most people struggle with is that no one likes to be told what to do, which is where, which is why, let me reframe that, which is why extreme execution and why the flight assessment is so important. After the last recording, Ray and I were just talking offline, and he was like, "I love what you do with the kids because I'm teaching EQ, emotional intelligence, to TK, to kindergartners, all the way through middle school." And then when I was doing a staff training and I was doing the introduction to the assessment, we talk about those percentages. 12% score as high pilots, which means 88% of the population needs your direction, needs a pilot. Now, I loved our meeting yesterday because it was like, okay, now you have people who have taken the assessment. Now they might fit in the personality style, but are they the right person with the right personality? Right now we get on that 2.0. And so just to 2.0 this thing out, what I was telling Ray last week when we were after the recording was I said, that's why I love what I do in forming young people and building EQ, building the self-awareness, the empathy, the self-regulation, the healthy communication, the empathy, because 88% of the world is not ready to have a conversation with personalities like Ray. So if I could help them build emotional resilience early, if I can help them learn how to self-regulate, self-manage, have empathy early, and the more they practice and the more they use the skills and the tools, the more capacity they have, then they're not only going to be able to have the conversations with the 12%, with the pilots, but it'll be fruitful. And I believe that that's the shift that's happening right now in our cohort, in our mastermind, is we're not just like learning who and how we are, but we're also learning, okay, who's actually the right person with the right combination. And that was something I caught yesterday that he said. You might need a dominant pilot, but their secondary can make the difference and make a break, whether you're moving the needle or not. You might need a pilot air traffic combo. You might need a pilot GC combo, depending on your industry and depending on what you need. And so just again, back to why it's so important that we continue to use this tool as a part of how we grow. I mean, 88% of the world aren't ready for the Ray Joneses of the world. They're not ready for the CJs of the world. They're not ready for the Simon Cowells of the world. I mean, come on, you watch American Idol, and he's like, that was terrible. Like,
it's terrible.
the whole audience, right? Like, so I think that's something that's
be
important to
confused
keep
as
in
to why
mind.
you're crying.
Mm.
Be confused as to why you're crying. Be like, you came on
Exactly.
here to be judged.
Mm.
That was
Exactly.
terrible.
Hey, see, there's the fact. I didn't even think about that. You came on here to be judged, and so the fact that, man, that's good. See, I didn't even catch that. I didn't even really think about that. So you came on here to be judged. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was terrible. Let me save you from you.
that's it. So back
No, I
to
love it.
Christina's question, right? How do you get out of your own way? Or, no, I mean, Janine's question: how do you get out of your own way? Right? It's like being willing and being open to the feedback, but from the right people. Number one. And then also understanding like whatever percentage, whatever your combination is in the assessment, we need to learn how to communicate, connect with the opposite so that we can grow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and I love
And
these, man, because I mean, yeah, this week, yesterday we talked about relationships. I mean, all these come down to relationships. Your relationship with self, your relationship with the thing that you're doing, your business, your work, your coworkers, other people, whatever it is. Like this all comes down to what is your relationship, and the things when you're lacking, like you just have to be aware of that. They prevent you from getting in your own way. Well, I mean, if you're getting in your own way, put some parameters in place that don't allow that. And if you continue to get in your own way, hey, bring in somebody else. Just like you said about, why are you charging so little when you brought someone else on? Melissa just said something. She brought on a pilot, Jazz, to get, clarity on her rates and everything that like, hey, if I'm not the person to do it because I'm sitting here and I think that asking the principal for my rate is taking food off his table, let me put somebody else here that hey, if this dude wants to eat, he'll figure out a way to eat. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get what we're worth. Like that's just that value. Like how do you value yourself? What are you valuing? Like why are you getting up? Like why are you trying to put emotions involved with the grind? Like there are certain things that have a what you said. The situation should dictate when we're leaning into facts or whether we're dealing into
Yeah.
feelings. Like what do we need to do? So I mean, Christina, right there. Not, so that's why I like these questions because they all have something to do with relationship, whether it's with self, with others, or with inanimate objects, or just events and activities that you're doing. It all has to do with your relationships and what your perception of those efforts are. And that transition is good. Like with Christina's just what made you two go into the fields that you choose, like real estate and speaking events? How has that changed your point of view from now and back when you started? For me, and I mean, I've been very clear about the real estate piece, but I actually had to change based off our last podcast, change the verbiage on I don't like real estate to I don't enjoy real estate. So what made me get into it? Like, okay, my why. Like what I do can never be bigger than why I do it. So why I do it so I can be here and tell my little, kiddo that's gonna jump in at the most inopportune time and ask me for a snack. I just tell her to go get it. Um, but so I can be here, so I can be present, so I can drive her to school every morning, so I can have lunch with her during the week, so I can pick her up from practice. All those things, like I don't have to call into work and ask somebody if I can leave or that I'm going to be late. So I don't enjoy it. Like that has nothing to do with why I do it though, and it never will be. All these things. So enjoying it, me getting in real estate, and remember, I'm a coach. Yes, I can educate you in real estate. Yes, I will if you want to go in that aspect, but I'm going to want to know why you want to do it. So even though that's what it's done, Josh mentioned diligence earlier, the diligent hand. Your gift shall make room for you. So my gift, for whatever reason, it seems to be that I understand the conversation and just the whole business of real estate in a certain manner, but I don't enjoy it. But that's my gift is just to have that. We talked about pilots having that big picture vision. I'm able to see it for what it's worth, and it's opened up room and space for me to do stuff like this. So this is I enjoy this. I enjoy being able to pilot for other people, being able to see what the big picture is and to help you navigate a way to get from point A to point B because I see the big picture and I see some, not the details, but I see some big things in your way. I see some steps that you need to take. It's opened up that for me. So the real estate piece, it may be a gift, but I was fighting it for a while. But it's opened up a room for me. So how is my perspective shift? A, the diligent hand. Keep doing the thing that you're doing, but look for the reason why you're doing it, understand why you're doing it, and eventually open up other opportunities for the things that you actually truly enjoy. So speaking of joy, let's talk about social, emotional learning, EQ, flight attendant
Yeah.
engagements.
Yeah. No, so for me, when I read that question, thank you, Christine, for that question. A couple things, right? Two words come up for me when I think about simplicity and authenticity. All right. Simplicity and authenticity. And I'm in the speaking industry, and growing up, I was always told I had the gift to gab. Not sure how I feel about that. You got a mouthpiece, right? Like growing up, like, hey, bro, you got a mouthpiece. You can sell an ice to Esco. Like that was just always my style and my, salesman. But I never wanted to have that like, oh, I'm a salesy kind of person because again, my experience with those kinds of people were like, oh, they're shady, they're liars, right? Stuff like again, that's just my experience with it. That's my financial trauma with it. Like that's my trauma with it. But so just growing up, they were like, "Oh, you're a great communicator," or "You really make things easy to understand," or "You're super relatable." Like from teenaging, from a teenager all the way up. So I would be asked to give talks at retreats. I would be asked to, do all these different things. And then once I got into the mental health space, as in even as an adult mental health psych tech, running groups, working with adults, simplifying what their care plan was, simplifying what their strategy like, because they had care plans whenever they were feeling like they were going to have a psychotic break or whenever they were getting anxious or anxiety. Like, so I'm just looking at their care plan. Of course, the way the doctors wrote it up, it's not always going to be easy to understand, let alone easy to follow. So I made it a part of my like mission to go, okay, here's what they're really asking for, at least at the most simplest level. Let's break it down that way. And so all of that just really just translated into the high school youth ministry work that I did. And then, now kinder through fifth grade, elementary and middle school, social emotional learning. So whether it's faith-based work, whether it's the social emotional learning or emotional intelligence work, like simplifying it, but bringing it in my most authentic way is what drives me to do it. And so it's crazy because when I look back in high school, right, when you get confirmed, one of the things you choose is like a saint. It's a saint is someone you want to emulate. They have like different charisms or different things that they're known for. So the saint I chose was Saint Blaise. Now Saint Blaise, I just thought the name was cool. So I was like, I'm gonna be Saint Blaise. But not knowing, again in high school, not knowing that he's a patron saint of blessing throats. So we always think of Saint Blaise to keep my throat healthy.
Yeah.
And I never knew that speaking was going to be my job. I never knew that this was going to be the career that was going to allow me to provide for my family and make my impact. So every single time I think of Saint Blaise, to keep this throat, whether it's a podcast, speaking live, I have this prayer card on me. Like I got, the whole nine. And so as I look back though, what I would probably, I won't say do differently. I think for me, looking back, I probably would have done more homework on the craft because I was just coming in raw. Like a high school, early young adult, you give me a topic, you give me some talking points. Flight attendant, we freestyling. I'm low ATC or low ATC. Look, I'm gonna let the Holy Spirit flow. And so every time I had to give a talk at a retreat, we would always have to do, work with the elders and kind of like go over the talking points. And I just bring the talking points. Everyone's reading verbatim what they're gonna say, and I just come up in there and be like, okay, boom, go into it. And then they're like, okay, what are you gonna say after that? I was like, I'm just gonna let the Holy Spirit gush. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let the Holy Spirit gush. But I was one of the only youth and young adults at that time where like they trusted what I would bring out because they know I would stay on point and on topic. And so I said, okay, and I just simplified it, super relatable. So as I look at the work I do in EQ and in faith-based work, right, my goal is simple. I want to get to heaven and get as many people to heaven as possible. That's my faith-based mission. Yeah. In terms of EQ, I want to help people take control of their feelings so it doesn't take control of them so they can have healthy relationships. And if I'm the EQ guy, the feelings guy, and I can help them get through, communicating with their family, friends, coworkers, or whatever, and to be their most authentic self, and then they go, oh, and he's a Christian too. Yeah. Maybe that's the way God wanted me to bring light to people who aren't necessarily in those faith-based spaces. So but I would have definitely learned to craft a little bit more.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't answer that piece of like, how has that changed your point of view from back when you started? And I think there's that piece too. High pilot, when I first started this, I was high pilot, high flight attendant. My flight attendant has about been cut in half. That's just because I got more serious and more mature about, me being in my pilot. And it's acknowledged that piece. But I definitely would have, this will roll right into Melissa's question. I definitely probably would have slowed down. There's a part of me that's like, nah, because I know what me moving at this pace has done and opened up opportunities for me. But it's definitely put some weight on these shoulders, for some moments that I'm just like, man, I'm tired. We about to take a knee. But yeah.
Can I ask a question though, Ray? Can I ask a question based on that? I mean, if you're okay with sharing, like, can you share with our people, like, we say wait, like, and just because we know life can get heavy, but are there any specifics or just things that, maybe we could relate to when it comes to like what kind of weight are you talking about? Like, because you said you move fast, you're taking on a lot of responsibilities, you're using your gift, more opportunities, but it comes with some weight. Can you share? Are you open to sharing maybe what some of those things are that our listeners might be able to connect with?
Well, let's be real, man. I mean, a lot of people want to eat on the real estate side, even when people are like, oh, hey, you've done all this, that's awesome. Let's be real, man. Like, I built an $8 million real estate portfolio in under 3 years. From owning nothing, that's not a fiscally, that is a lot to take on. That's why, you more and more I keep jumping to this, if you want more, you got to prepare for more. Like, let's do the prep work. So you got to prepare for the thing that you're asking for. And if you rush to get all the things that you said that you wanted and it's given to you, you're not developed and evolved enough to handle it. So, I seen you this morning, man. You throwing up that clean. If I throw some weight on the bar, man, and it's and I've never trained for it, I'm gonna say the squat rack, because most of us probably get it off the rack. But if I threw a decent amount of weight that I've never trained for and pulled it off the rack, I could probably stand there for a little bit. But the moment I start bending them knees, gravity's about to take over.
Giraffe legs.
Gravity. Yeah, I don't even say giraffe legs. Those things about to snap. And I would say, man, I mean, towards the end of last year, I was like, okay, let's. I saw that coming, and I was like, okay, 2023, we're gonna stabilize. And that was the plan, to stabilize, and then we still had some more life events occur. But I don't shy away, because I'm a pilot, so I don't shy away from challenges. I meet problems head on. Like, oh, problem, no problem. We got this. So those things where it's like, okay, when I'm looking at when I grew that quickly, I put a lot of weight on myself financially, but just responsibility wise, when I had a support system in place with a relationship that I had. And when that support system was removed, it was like that was the only thing that was kind of, I don't want to say the only thing keeping me up, but it provided a little bit of stability.
Yeah.
So once that was removed, now this thing's coming down, and it's coming down quick. I mean, I'm making the adjustments. We're fine. But also at the same time, if I hadn't moved that quick, I don't know if most of you would know who I am. So it's that perception of recognizing it, but it's like, I know that now. So moving forward, and we're rolling to Melissa's question. Moving forward, we gonna slow it down a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to kind of, share off and piggyback off that, Melissa's question was like, Ray, as a pilot, how do you, taking on so much work, how do you not like do too much? And I'll be honest, like Danielle would always hear the stories and the people you're supporting, and she's like, babe, you need to talk to Ray. I'm like, nah, it's not time yet. I'll wait to get Ray to be my pilot when the time is right. And a big reason why is because, number one, like, I understand energy management. And for me and you, I'm like, I see you every week. Like, we talk all the time. So it's not even necessarily like, hey, Ray, I need you to be a pilot. But I also see like all the other, when you say weight, and I was just more leaning towards like, bro, like both of us be in the same boat sometimes. Like, financially, there's a burden because things are in limbo, right?
Yep.
Emotionally, because of the things that we in our relationships. There's so much in the background that I think so many people could relate to, but people only see what's facing forward, or they only see what they see, right, on the outside.
On the surface, yeah.
But when we're moving and operating in our gift, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come with its fair share of weight or responsibilities. And there are going to be a lot of times where, you're going to have to be in, like I'm in a position right now where I'm like, okay, to get to the next level, it's going to take another level of investment.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a weight. That's a huge weight on, on me and Danielle, because we got a plan, we working with Eva. Like, we have all these different things that are in motion that are going great. But as we're stepping up and stepping into the next level, realizing, like, I love what he said earlier. He was like, I'm going to pay you 15, if I'm going to pay you 1,500, I better make 15,000 off of this. So the mindset now is like, okay, so the next level of investment, what's the ROI on that?
Yeah.
But not to say, again, it's not easy. It's, like dealing with the day-to-days, like you say, people say the word juggling, right? Juggling family, health, finances, how are you going to get this paid? And I told Danielle one thing that I noticed, though, since being in the mastermind, a lot of our questions around money, all right, full transparency, our questions around money have not been like, how are the bills going to get paid?
Yeah.
But they're more of, okay, where are we going to invest next? Or what's the next level of investment we're going to put on me, on her business, on us as a couple? Right now, it's like the conversations are different, where we know some of our viewers are like, yo, how am I going to keep the lights on next month? How am I going to keep
Yeah.
my car right? And I think, but being in this, the mastermind has really not only allowed us to level up in so many different ways, that the weight we're carrying is still not even like, um how do I say, like, it's from what we carry like before. This, it's a different level of weight or different type of weight. It's still weight, but I feel like it's not like it used to be, where, man, can we even afford the basics? But now we're like, okay,
Yeah.
where are we going to invest next, or how are we going to invest in ourselves next, or what's the next level look like, and what is it going to take? And it's not either yes or no, it's how are we going to get it?
Yeah. And with that piece right there, man, it's just you. It doesn't get lighter; you just get stronger.
Come on, talk
So,
about it.
but then there's that understanding as far as who you are. What are you getting stronger in? I can't operate, and we say, the adaptive of a grounds crew or an ATC for too long. That's gonna wear me out. You're gonna see me break real quick. But I've gotten stronger in my ability as a pilot. I've gotten more focused in my ability as a pilot. So, listen, like when you ask, how do I keep from overbooking, overextending yourself, given the amount of projects you're involved in? I've gotten stronger as a pilot. And you said a pilot can only fly one plane at a time, right? Absolutely, yes. But there's different types of planes. You can be a little Casa, a little 212, a little six-seater. You can be a little prop engine, which is me and a passenger. Or I can be all the way up in that 777 Boeing, that I can handle 600
Sheesh,
passengers. So yes, I can fly one plane, but as I get
that's
more skilled
good.
and more crafted in my ability to be
That's
a pilot,
good.
I can carry more of a load.
That's good. That's good. All right, so let's do this then. I love that analogy. All right, I love that analogy. That actually makes, because that just really helps with the capacity. Oh man, that's good. So again, it goes to what you said, or like that quote: "Don't wish for things to be better. Wish for you to be stronger," or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
wish for things to be easier. Wish for you to be stronger, you to
To
be
get
better. And I
better,
love what
yeah.
you just said. I'm a pilot. However, the stronger of a pilot I become, the more capacity, all right, we're using that word capacity, you have and you develop. So you go from just a single license, the little local, what are those, the smallest planes, you know what I'm saying? Those local planes, to the 737 Boeing and up. And so which plane would you say at this moment? I'm just going to call it in August of 2023. All right, mid-August of 2023, what plane are you most comfortable flying right now? Like, how many, is it like a little mini jet? Is it like how many passengers is like kind of where your sweet spot is right now in this
I'm gonna,
moment?
I'm gonna say, you get like those American Eagles, man, like the ones that are still kind of like
There
regional.
you go.
You just got two seats on both sides. There is no first class. It's just shotgun.
Okay, there it is.
There's no first
That,
class, just shotgun. But but this is where we look at, man. Is that where I was trying to go? Is this where we're trying to go? Because same thing with
yeah.
that, like. That requires a certain type of flight attendant. Are you going to be a flight attendant operating
Come
first
on.
class? You can be a flight attendant operating this. What is the goal? What is the end goal? What is the focus? And the focus is, I mentioned it yesterday, and I just love that terminology, the theory of it. Finite and infinite games. What
Mm,
game are you playing? All these things that we are investing in, that is an investment in the infinite game. This is something that's going to go beyond me. Reach Academy is an infinite game. This is going to last beyond Ryan and Daniel Ramirez. Like, that's going to last beyond you. Break information is going to last beyond me. Those are those infinite games. So the only way for me to continue to grow is for me to continue to build and test my endurance and stretch my capacity. So we'll bring it full circles for me to
come on.
stretch the capacity of what we currently are able to handle. If you understand that, when we go through these moments where, yes, my system, yes, there is a lot going on, but I'm not looking about this moment. I'm not looking for today. I'm looking at next year. I'm looking
Mm,
at, where is this going? Like, what direction are we flying in? where are we going? Is this an overseas trip? Or am I going from Austin to Dallas, which is a 45-minute flight?
I love that. Come on. Hey, y'all, catch this. Catch this, y'all, for reals. We just took the flight assessment to a whole nother dimension. I'm not saying it hasn't been done already, but at least with Ray and I and our audience today, what is your capacity at the position you have? And I think back to what we're saying, most people are still on the ground floor outside the plane, still looking at where they even belong. Right? Some pilots are just still looking at the thing like, is should I do that or this? Right? Like, not sure, but you are already like, yo, I got me a little American Eagle size, hey, shout out those American Eagle planes. I will say on a side note, they don't always got the smoothest landings, but we get there. All right, but we get there. But I love the fact that, so as a flight attendant, shout out, thank you, Melissa, for the love. She said I'm a first class flight attendant. I think I would be too. But the question is as a grounds crew, as a flight attendant, as an air traffic control, what is your capacity? Meaning, what plane can you comfortably be on right now with the intention of moving forward? Can you just handle a couple rows of first class, or can you handle a whole section? Can you handle the size of the plane? And how we gauge that is energy. How we gauge that is efficiency. How we gauge that is, are we complete in all the pillars? In all the different ways, right? So I think that's a great way to gauge where you are, even once you have your, again, self-awareness, once you have your role. Now it's like, okay, what is my capacity though? Am I getting on a 737 when I really should just be on the little American Eagle, right, plane? Or, or am I somewhere in between? Or where is my energy most efficient? I mean, same thing with grounds crew, same thing with air traffic controllers, right? Like finding out what is the actual capacity you can handle at this moment with the intention of getting stronger, of getting better. And then I love what you said, Ray. I caught this last piece. And then making sure you're on the right plane with the right destination.
Yep.
Because capacity doesn't always mean bigger or more either. It might mean the same plane to a longer distance.
Ooh.
Or it might mean a bigger plane with a shorter distance. So being mindful of what plane you're on, what's the capacity of the size of the plane, what is the distance of the trip, like get the formula that's going to find you. And that's why everyone's path is unique. That's why everyone's path to growth is going to be different, which is why we love the assessment. So
yeah, and let's just address, because we got a minute here in this conversation too, for the GC and the ATC, for the ground crew and the air traffic control. It's not necessarily about, for you, it's not necessarily the plane. It's about the airport. The size of the airport that you're serving. So we've been to Atlanta. Those ground crew, man, they be hustling. That place is just go, go, go. So as you grow your capacity, you're growing the size of the support system and structure that you're actually rolling with. You might not want to be an ATC on day one flying from Hartsfield International. Might not be the place. You might want to go over here at Killeen Regional, where we got 3 gates.
Hey, we got 8 here at Greenville, South Carolina. I love mine.
Yeah. So go from 3 and then go over to Greenville. You got 8, and then maybe we'll go to Dallas. We won't go to DFW. We'll go to Dallas Love. Where they only do Southwest, and then you can go. So like it's understanding even in your support systems and even standard operating procedures, understand when you start building up to certain, it may be one day I want to be flying this jet. Maybe one day I want to be operating the tower over at Atlanta Hartsfield. But if you go on there day one, you've never had any experience anywhere else, some stuff's gonna happen. Not the good stuff. So yeah. So we might just throw this whole thing, man. We talk about environment.
There it is.
Talk about environment. For the FAs and the pilots, what size of plane are you on and which one are you trying to be on? For the GCs and the ATCs, what airport are you servicing? And which one do you want to service? from a hypothetical standpoint.
Yeah.
But understand, if you want more, you got to prepare for more. That individual development, the assessment, the awareness, the growth, the environment, your community, everything else becomes the prep work. And if you just embrace the prep work, you've embraced the road to results in that mindset journey.
That's it, y'all. That's it right there. And underneath all of that, our main topic today was relationships. Once you figure that out and you build the relationships on with your flight crew, you build those relationships at your airport, then you build those relationships with your guests, with those that are flying with you. Then we soar into new levels. That is the road to results. Anyways, family, we appreciate y'all again for being with us on this episode number 22. Again, for those of you who are catching this on the replay, please be sure to leave questions to any of our videos, and we'll be sure to do our best to answer those questions for the next episode. But we'll make sure we will put it in the queue. So thank y'all again for your time. And as always, like we say, don't just go with us. Grow with us.
Let's go. Love y'all.
All right, love y'all.
Appreciate
Take care. God bless. Till next week. Peace.